Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be introducing you to the DreamWeaver software, the interface, so that you can kind of get familiar with it. This is going to go along with our Project 6 notes, and it is the DreamWeaver environment section. And so when you go there, it'll go along kind of with the notes here, but really I'm just going to give you an overview. I'm not going to go necessarily step by step as what I have on the notes. I just kind of want to give you a feel for the interface because it can be pretty overwhelming in the beginning. So far we've been using a text editor, and the text editor is pretty much just going to do exactly what we say, and there were no bells and no whistles. There was no helpful things. It was all, you had to put every single thing in. Now we're going to be using a software package that is used to make HTML, but also you can use it for your CSS. You can use it for a lot of things, but it'll also give you the ability to see exactly what you're doing at the same time. It might not be perfect, but it'll give you a really good indication of what's happening. And there's a lot of menus and a lot of things that are possible. We're not going to cover everything, but we're going to basically learn to do exactly kind of what we did by hand, but using the software. So we're kind of at a period where the software changes every year. It improves every year. There's new versions and all that sort of thing. Wherever you may work may have one version, maybe the old versions, and maybe they have the newest version, and maybe you can't afford the new version, you have the old version. So it's not unusual that you might be working with multiple versions wherever you go. You might have this in the lab and this at home and this at work. But the idea is just get comfortable with the core settings. The additions or the improvements will always be happening, but the core things are most important. So I'm using DreamWeaver CSS, or not CSS, DreamWeaver CC, Creative Cloud. CS6 is in the lab, and that may change, depends on what year or whatever's happening. So the thing that you're using is just going to always be changing. So that's something to get used to. Plus, there are free versions of text editors called Aptana Studio, which you can use. They're not identical, but they do similar things. This is free, and this costs a subscription. In this video, we're covering just DreamWeaver, and this is just, again, an introduction to the user interface. When DreamWeaver loads up, you're going to see it's going to ask you questions. It's going to ask you, well, what are you wanting to do? What are you wanting to make? Do you have old things that you've already been working on? So in my particular case, when I open it up, I can look at recent files that I've been working on. So I have my class schedules and things that I have been working with that I could go back to and continue working on. I could create something new, a new HTML page, a new CSS page, JavaScript, and PHP and XML and all kinds of stuff. I could set up a new site if I wanted to from here. I could learn about new features and all that sort of thing. And so usually I open up a file that already exists, something that I've already done and I'm going to go back to. I don't, because that's typically what I'm doing. I'm modifying pages that I previously have, and then if I need to make something new, I'll make something new. So for instance, if I click on a schedule, let's say our class schedule here. What I'm going to get is, I'm going to get a screen. Now, I'm going to go into kind of what I see on the page here, versus I'm not going to write code. I'm just going to go over the kind of what I'm looking at. You can look at the interface in a variety of different ways. It's going to break it down to you and show you different parts of the code itself. Different parts meaning I can look at the HTML part, I can look at the CSS part, I can look at its properties and all kinds of things like that, like the properties of a particular element or selector or something like that. And so what I basically have is I have my main menus across the top. File will give me the ability to make a new document, open an old document, open a recent document. So I can look at my HTML pages that I've already created, my spring schedules, my schedules for other classes. I can close them all, and I can save them, and I can preview them in a browser or something like that. So I could actually look at my page that I currently have up in Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Mozilla, or whatever I'm using. If I wanted to, I could go and run my validate something. If I go to edit, this gives me the ability to change certain things, change my preferences. So for instance, if I wanted to go down and change preferences of how some things were, general preferences, document types, those kind of things, how I want my page to be laid out, those kind of things, different fonts that I want to use, my Unicode, and so I could do changes like that. I'm not interested in doing that right now, but it's just that's where I would find that kind of data. Insert is going to allow me to insert a link or an image. So if I actually want to insert a picture into my page, I don't have to code every single thing. I'm going to get a user window that gives me the ability to add the title and add the alternative text, and then choose the file that I want to actually use, the image, from a folder in my hierarchy where I have it stored. So this, and if I want to add a hyperlink, I can just say I want to add a hyperlink, add in my target, add in my title, add in my link actual address, and boom, away I go, instead of having to code it all. And so I can use a lot of these features now. If I want to change my page, modify my page form, things like that, and on and on and on. When I want to create a site, I'm going to go here and create a new site. So in the beginning, we're going to start creating and defining a site so that you can have all your documents in one location. You can go to my sites, and then you can have your site for this project and that project and this project. Project 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, website, this, that, or the other, can be in one core location. So for me, I have a site called My Documents, and if I go there, I can actually see all of my files. For instance, if I go here, I can see my documents, where they're located on my computer, and these are all the different, so I have sites, I have one site, but in it I have all my course information for my 189, my 179. This is the class here, is right here. All my HTML pages, everything that I've written for the class is organized right here. So when I want to open up the schedule or my syllabus or a certain project, I can go right here and see all that. Nice and easy. I can look at all my classes, everything for every class, and that's all within my one site. So it makes things really awesome. And so when I want to upload my content to a site, I can connect to my server, and when I connect to my server, it brings up all of my server pages, and then I can upload my new site, whatever I've changed, onto my remote server site, and then I'm instantly connected to that. So I just make my change here in DreamWeaver, drag it over here, boom, it's up and it's live on the internet that fast and that easy. That's how awesome it is. And so, yeah, it's pretty exciting actually. And so when I'm looking at a page here, I have options. This is kind of the viewing space, but what's really cool is I can look at the code right here. Actually, before I get into all that, I should probably continue on with my little overview. So if I want to, I can choose a little area up here called, this is the area where I can choose if I want to look at my code, if I want to look at the design, so I can actually see what it looks like side by side. This is how I prefer to work. My code is over here. If I select something in this section of my page, it shows up where it is. I can see that it's within a table, and gives me all kinds of really cool features. So I can actually see the page over here, and I get to see other information about the page on this side. If I wanted to change the way this is oriented, I can go up to View, and I could uncheck split vertical. This is now split horizontal, so I can have my code above and the way it looks down below. I personally prefer to have it split vertically because I like to move from left to right. My files on my computer are on the left, and the files that go on to my server is on the right. If I'm moving one document from my one file, I like the document I have my actual object in on my left and the one I'm moving it to on my right. That's just how I like to keep things organized. You might want to work top to bottom. Your actual file here is moving to this folder. However you do it, maybe you don't care. It just helps me stay organized. I want everything to be left to right, left to right, left to right. So that's how I have things organized here. I have a properties panel down at the bottom that let me see when I have something. I can see that if it's associated with a specific class or an ID, that sort of stuff comes up down here, and it gives me information about what it is that I'm doing and that sort of thing. So as I click on certain things, I can see properties about it and that sort of thing. It'll come up down here, and it's interesting that way. If I have a class, it will give me the information. Now I don't know if I have anything like that set up, so I don't have an example on this particular page of how that would work. Okay, so this is kind of the overview. If you want to look at things like we have our menu bar, we have our document toolbar. I'm working in CSS, so there's some of these areas. Sorry, not CSS, CC, Creative Cloud. We have our content menu, or our document menu here, and this is where we can see the design view or the code view, and you can use the split attributes. It's same here, designer D. It lets you switch from designer to code, and I prefer to keep it designer and have it side by side. But you know, when you begin doing these things, you're going to end up doing it. You'll get your own workflow, but this is just kind of what makes me feel comfortable. And we'll look at more things as we go along. We have insert panels, and we have the ability to insert information and that sort of stuff. Tag selectors, property inspectors, file panels. There's all kinds of panels. You don't have to memorize all that stuff right now. But I do want you to become familiar with it and just explore it. Before you're trying to do anything, just learn that you can click on things and not worry about things disappearing. So for instance, if I closed something or something like my properties panel is missing, I can reopen it by going up here. And I can open up my insert panel, which is right here, and I can see it over on the side. If I want to collapse my icons, I can do that. I typically try to give myself as much real estate here as possible so I can see it. If I click on these tabs, they'll bring up, here's all my files again. This is showing me on my remote server. This is what's happening on my remote server. This is my site. My current site is over there. I don't need to worry about that right now. My local view, my remote server, and that sort of stuff. So I can look at my, this is my local files on my computer here. I can look at my remote server there. And if I want to connect, I can do that. But I have to set all that stuff up. You won't see that stuff yet. But you can see that you can move these panels around by sliding this. I can drag this middle section here. If I get my thing on the right spot, it'll switch. And then I can drag this over and give myself more space. I can drag this panel up if I get it just in the right spot. Sometimes I gotta find it, but usually I can bring these things up, and I can close these if I want, and that sort of thing. So a lot of this stuff, some of these things they may disappear, but you can bring them up by going into your Windows panel here and bringing it down. One cool thing is that when you have your page, I could actually view this in my browser by hitting F12. If I hit F12, it'll open it up in my browser, and I can actually see the page as it is, not on the server, but locally. It's just running it off my computer, and it's just looking at my